Hello and welcome to another episode of the Adobe Photoshop tutorial brought to you by OneLearn. In the previous video, we talked about using the curves and exposure adjustment layer when working with Adobe Photoshop application. In this video, we're going to be talking about the vibrance layer, hue saturation layer, color balance layer, black and white layer, photo filter layer, and the channel mixer layer. Enjoy. Hi, we're going to be moving on to the next set of adjustment layers. This time we're going to be starting with the vibrance layer. Now, just as we have done in the previous videos, to insert a vibrance adjustment layer into our project, all we have to do is click on this adjustment layer button down here and then move down to vibrance. The properties section changes into the vibrance adjustment layer, and in order to adjust it, you click the knob. You can see the knob where the vibrance is. You can move it either to the right to increase the vibrance, or you can move it to the left to reduce the vibrance. You can see the effect of the vibrance on your photo. You can also move the saturation knob to the right to increase the saturation. Basically increases the color saturation of your project. Or you can move it down to the left to reduce the color saturation on your project. Saturation basically makes it easy for you to pour in colors into your project. You can see the color glow. Seems to be more color being poured into your project, and if you reduce it, it seems like the color is being removed from your project completely. Now, as always, in every adjustment layer, you can actually clip your vibrance layer into a particular layer on your project, thereby making the effect of this vibrance layer affected to only a particular layer on your project. Now let's move on to the next adjustment layer, which is the hue of saturation layer. Now this layer makes it easy for us to add a hue, saturation, or lightness into our project. Now, in order to change the hue of a project, all you have to do is move the knob for the hue either to the right or to the left, and you can actually throw in different colors into your project. You can see the more I move my hue saturation knob to the right or the left, my project seems to change color to different levels. You can also increase the saturation of your layer by throwing in more colors into your layer by moving the knob to the right, or you can reduce the saturation by throwing in less color by moving your saturation knob to the left. You can as well increase the lightness of your project by moving the lightness knob to the right, or making it darker by moving the lightness knob to the left. Now, another thing you need to know about the hue or saturation knob is you can actually increase or reduce the color or hue or saturation or lightness of a particular spot on your project by clicking on this. When you click on this and you go over to your project and you pick a particular spot, let's say for example the blue inner shirt on this gentleman's clothing. When we click on the blue, the adjustment layer will select the particular area on our hue settings where the blue shirt is applied, which means that we are now currently editing only that particular color in our project. So if I move my hue or color saturation to the right or the left, you can notice the color change of the shirt of the man. Now remember that as the adjustment layer tries to adjust the hue or saturation or lightness of that particular area on your project, it will also adjust or manipulate the other portion of your project or layer. Let's say for example I'm trying to change my that's a little bit too much. Okay, now we've successfully done this. But one of the way to correct him, you can notice the color change on these other areas of your you can notice the color change of this other area on your project. Now if you really don't want the color change and you are not okay with the way this is, you can easily select the shirts. Right now I'm using the magic selection tool, magic wand selection tool, to select some area of the man's shirt, because I'm about to use the mask. Okay, I'm going to right click, select inverse. What I now did is I am currently selecting every other area except the man's shirt. Then I will take my brush tool. Of course, we're working with the marks and we have black and white. And the black is to remove a particular layer that you're selected on from that project. Just like erasing the effect, you can notice that the effect of the hue saturation adjustment layer is being removed from the area that I'm using the black brush tool on. And then now you can notice that, press Ctrl D to deselect. You can notice that we have successfully changed the color of the inner shirt of the gentleman in the picture. So that is how you can work with hue saturation adjustment layer, as well as picking a certain area on your project and adjusting the color, and also using your marks to remove that adjustment to every other portion of your project except that particular area that you're looking for. So in this video, we basically just worked with the hue saturation adjustment layer. We worked with using the click and drag tool to modify saturation. Okay, we worked with using the click and drag tool to modify saturation, and then we worked with using the marks to remove the saturation that we worked on every other part of our project. So the next one we're going to be talking about, I'm going to remove the hue and saturation adjustment. The next we're going to talk about is the color balance. Now the color balance helps us to balance the color on our project. You can either use the cyan or red knob, or the magenta or green knob, or the yellow or blue knob. Now in order to add more red to your color, you move the red knob to the right, or if you want to add more cyan, you move the knob to the left. If you want to add more green, you can move this to the right or left to add more magenta. You can add more blue by moving this knob to the right. If you want more yellow, you can move this knob to the left. So basically, if you just want to add more colors into your project, this is actually one way to balance the colors on your project. Now if you want to add more red, then throw in a little bit more green and then add a little bit of yellow. You can notice how my project completely changes color. By using the color balance tool or adjustment layer, you can easily balance the color on your project. You can also create a clipping mask on this project, on the layer, and then clip your adjustment layer to a specific layer on your project. And you can also use the marks tool wherever necessary. The next layer we're going to talk about is the black and white adjustment layer. When you click on it, the black and white layer, as always, allows you to add more reds, or add or reduce more reds, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, and magnetas. Now for the second group of adjustment layers, the vibrance, hue saturation, color balance, black and white, photo filter, channel mixer, and color lookup, basically focus on the color of your project. Now in order to add more color, sorry, I'm going to add the color balance again. Sorry, not the color balance, the black and white. Okay, so this makes your picture a little bit more black and white, and then you can add specific you can notice that in order to make this give you certain color range on your image. You can see the amount of reds you have, the amount of yellows you have, the amount of greens you have, the amount of cyans you have, the amount of blues and magnetas. So if you want to add more whites to your red, you increase this, and you notice that some areas in which there were red on your project becomes brighter. Now if you want to add more to make your yellows brighter, or if you want to make your greens brighter, so basically if you want to make the particular color you're looking for on your project brighter, you look for the color down here, or the color related to these colors, and move the knob either to the left or the right, and then you can add more brightness. But also remember that this is a black and white setting, so your picture will generally be on black and white, therefore removing every other color that is available on your project. But with these knobs, you're gonna basically make those colors either black or white. Now before I said that, I said when we're using our phones, the phones comes with preset filters, but with Photoshop we can actually put in those filters by ourselves, creating our own presets, and manipulating our photos however we want. Now moving on to photo filter, it basically helps to increase the density of our color, increase or reduce the density of the colors on our project. So you can just move the knob to the left or to the right using any of these filters that is available. You can use the warming filter with different color settings. Once you pick the particular color you're looking for, the particular filter color you're looking for, just move the knob to the left or to the right to throw in more of those colors, or you can move it, or you can reduce the effect of these color filters on your project. Now the next adjustment layer that's available is the channel mixer. Channel mixer, of course, still works like the other layers we've been talking about. They all deal with colors. You can easily just add or reduce red color here. You can add or reduce green color or the blue, and then you can move or reduce the constant, making it okay, just like you're throwing more red or you're reducing the amount of red. So basically with this, you are still manipulating the colors in your Photoshop project. Now I will still advise you to go through these adjustment layers, get to feel them, get to see what they are all about. Okay, the color lookup basically collects colors from a particular file. I advise you not to use this unless you are very good with using the color lookup adjustment layer. So with these few adjustment layers, the vibrance, hue, color balance, black and white, photo filter, channel mixer, all tend to deal with the color of your project. So basically, if you want to edit or manipulate the color when working with a project on Photoshop, you can then work with these few adjustment layers that I've mentioned, and they help you add color filters into your Photoshop project. Hello. In this video, we focused on the vibrance, hue, saturation, color balance, black and white, photo filter, and channel mixer adjustment layers. In the next video, we are going to be focusing on the invert, posterize, threshold, gradient map, and selective color adjustment layers when working with projects in Photoshop application.